Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. Today I have decided that I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 favourite documentaries that I think you have to watch on Netflix because they're just awesome. So this is my top 10 personal favourites, as well as films that have made me think about society and the way the world works in our environment and things like that. So at number 10 is a documentary called Daft Punk Unchained. Now this was a documentary by the BBC that I think came out a short time ago when Random Access Memories came out, which was Daft Punk's most recent album. And it kind of tells the story about Daft Punk and their rise to fame and the way they approached being a musical artist in the industry as well. But it's a really great documentary. It's got great music by Daft Punk and I highly recommend anyone who's interested in Daft Punk or music to give it a watch. At number 9, it is an environmental documentary called Chasing Ice. Now this documentary is really important. I think everyone should watch this. There's a couple more environmental documentaries in this list, but Chasing Ice mainly focuses on the polar ice caps and how they're melting in the glaciers. Chasing Ice is a really good documentary just to give you a little bit more information about the topic of global warming. It's really good and it's really interesting, so I recommend you give that a watch. Number 8 is Making a Murderer, and if you haven't seen Making a Murderer and if you have Netflix, then what have you been doing? Making a Murderer is one of the best TV shows I've ever seen, and it spans over 10 episodes, maybe 8, 9, 10 episodes or something like that, so it's quite short and it's mental. It's just absolutely mental. You'll get really frustrated at it, you'll invest your heart into it and you'll just have to live it for a day because you won't be able to stop watching it. Highly recommend that anyone who hasn't seen Making a Murderer gives that a watch. At number 7 is another environmental but also nature documentary called Planet Earth. Planet Earth 2 is also out just now on BBC iPlayer, but Planet Earth is a BBC documentary again. It's a nature one and it's really amazing. The cinematography that they've got is incredible in all the BBC documentaries. I'll give that, even in Africa or in Life, Blue Planet and Human Planet as well. They're incredible nature documentaries. If you want to know a bit more about nature or anything like that, or just a really amazing piece of filmmaking to watch in an hour that you're bored or something, then this is certainly the thing to watch. At number 6 is a documentary called The Square. Now The Square is about Egypt in recent years and the kind of fight for freedom that they've had, the revolution that they've had, and it's really interesting because it recounts people's personal stories at that time. It details everything that the freedom fighters and the government and the military were going through at that time and all the movements, like a war basically. And it's really fascinating and really moving as well. So I recommend that anyone who's interested in political issues or wants to have a little bit more of an insight into what happened at that time in Egypt, because the media don't really cover it that well, I highly recommend that everyone gives it a watch if you're into that kind of thing. At number 5 is 13th. Now this is a documentary that I think everyone should watch, and I know I've already been saying that a lot in this video, but the 13th is an amazing documentary. It focuses on the prison system in America, particularly for black people. This is a really moving documentary as well, but it's really important at this point in time politically. It's really current and I think that everyone should give it a watch. At number 4 is a film called Cowspiracy. This was a really good documentary and it focuses more on the environmental issues as well as your diet. One thing that I will say about this documentary is that it focuses mainly on becoming vegan. However, recently there's been a documentary called Before the Flood that stars Leonardo DiCaprio with National Geographic. It's a documentary on YouTube. It is about climate change and I believe that it holds a lot more information and a lot more proof about global warming and climate change and maybe how people can save it in a more positive light than Cowspiracy does. And Before the Flood is free to watch on YouTube, so after you watch this video then go and watch Before the Flood. It's really good and it's really entertaining. Leonardo DiCaprio talks to a lot of really interesting people, including Barack Obama, the President of the United States, which could never happen in Cowspiracy because no one wanted to speak about global warming. Cowspiracy is at number 4, but I highly recommend everyone goes and watches Before the Flood. At number 3, it is a documentary called Blackfish. Blackfish is about SeaWorld in Florida and it's a really kind of dark documentary about the true story behind this massive corporation. SeaWorld has nearly gone bankrupt so many times because of this documentary. If you haven't seen Blackfish, then I'll give you a little bit of insight to it. It's about killer whales in captivity, and it follows the whole story from the beginning of SeaWorld with the orcas in captivity and what has been happening. It is a bit of a tearjerker, just because of how moving and well filmed it was and edited. So I highly recommend anyone gives this a watch. At number 2, it is one of my personal favourites, and I had to put this on the list. It is called Winter on Fire, Ukraine's Fight for Freedom. I think in recent years, with the Scottish independence referendum and things like that, this is a really important documentary to watch for Scottish people. And I highly recommend it to anyone else who wants to give this a watch, because it's a really well made documentary. I won't say any more. I'll leave it up to the viewers to decide if you want to watch it or not, but this is a really great documentary and it's not a waste of your time at all. At number 1, it is the Zeitgeist Trilogy. Now this, I watched this when I was like 17, I was about 17 or going on 18, and the Zeitgeist Trilogy just blew my mind. It's a conspiracy documentary series, but it's not really conspiracies at all, it's just the truth. The whole trilogy is on Netflix. I'd say give it a watch. You might not like it, but I really enjoyed it, and it changed my opinion on a lot of things and made my mind more open to what I was believing by the media and how I should read into the facts more, which was really crucial for me at that time. So I highly recommend anyone watches the Zeitgeist Trilogy. It's all on Netflix. Yay. So that is my top 10 documentaries that you must watch on Netflix. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to watch Before the Flood on YouTube for free anyway, if you haven't already. I think it's got millions of views just now, which is really good, because this message needs to get out to more people. And hopefully you all agree as well. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!